Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank, where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out another really fun team featuring Pokemon like Hitmonlee and Dracozolt. This got really high up on the ladder last season. It was built by a Chinese player. You guys may remember that I used that G-Max Blastoise team a couple of days ago. There was a tweet that basically highlighted some of the top Chinese teams that was able to top the ladder last season. So I've linked that in the description below. This was one of the 4 teams that was included. So I saw the Hitmonlee and I was like, I haven't seen this Pokemon used at all in VGC 2020. Personally want to try it out, and I think it definitely is really neat. Dracozolt is actually really strong in the format right now as well. As you can see, it has that White Herb, so it can ignore potential Intimidates from Incineroars and then just do a ton of damage, obviously with Max Lightning combined with Hustle. The rest of the Pokemon are pretty standard, Dragapult, Incineroar, and Togekiss, but, you know, Dragapult plus Indeedee, especially with that Helping Hand combination, is just one of the strongest duos you could really have. And then you've got Protect on Incineroar and Togekiss. You know, Togekiss is actually running Protect more often in the metagame than not, but I think it still definitely, you know, makes it a little bit tougher to go up against. And then Incineroar with Protect is pretty interesting because a lot of people often don't expect that move on it. So yeah, overall I think the Hitmonlee and the Dracozolt are super excited to try out, but overall it's a really strong team. So thank you to the creator. Once again, I've linked the tweet kind of linking all of those top Chinese teams in the description below, and let's just get into today's episode. With us trying out Hitmonlee, I want to know from you guys, Hitmonlee, Hitmontop, or Hitmonchan, and why? Let me know in the comments below. You can talk about it either casually or competitively. Obviously, Hitmontop is the one that is the true star of VGC, having won the World Championships before, and being, you know, just so popular throughout all of VGC history, especially in 2012 and 2013. You throw a Fighting Gem on it and just be really powerful fake-out support, but also, you know, put on a lot of offensive pressure with close combat. But yeah, you know, it's still not as common. We went up against it with coaching previously, and I think coaching makes it, you know, a little bit more viable as well. But Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee are Pokemon that I've really rarely seen. I feel like Hitmonlee maybe now and then throughout the years, but Hitmonchan I don't think I've ever gone up against in like a higher level VGC match. So yeah, maybe we'll try out a team with that in the future. But let's get into today's episode. Thank you as always for watching Road to Rank. Really appreciate everyone's support. If you enjoy, please share your support by leaving a like, and talk about a team for the first one here. They've got Mienshao. Okay, let's see. Yeah, they've got Mienshao. I wanted to show we have Steel Spike and not Airstream on the Dragapult. Mienshao, Luxray, Braviary, Dragalge, Clef, and Bronzong. Huh. Very cool. So there's like a potential fast mode where you max Airstream with a Braviary and get boosted that way, but then like there's obviously Trick Room with Clef and Mienshao to provide support for the Bronzong. Like I could lead Indeedee plus. I feel like Indeedee Dragapult's the way to go because I could just Helping Hand Phantasm and dunk on anything and then just redirect attacks away from Dragalge. So I could just go with the safe mode, but I don't know. Hitmonlee could be really fun here if they don't go with the Trick Room route, so I'm going to keep that in the back, I think. It's tough to bring Dracozolt without maxing it. Could actually be a pretty good max candidate in this game, but I think I'm going to leave it on the bench. It's between Incineroar and Togekiss. Let's go with Togekiss because it has Follow Me, and also Dazzling does pretty well into like the faster mode of my opponent's team. Yeah, so we're gonna get into the first game here. It's a really cool team for my opponent. I always love going up against teams like this, especially on Road to Rank, because it's like either we win, which is always great, or we lose and learn a lot from a really cool team. So yeah, it is Bronzong Clef. Okay. I mean, most likely my opponent is just going to go for Follow Me and Trick Room. So I could max, obviously, and just go, you know, Helping Hand Steel Spike. There's a small chance that the Clefairy protects here. I don't know if we actually really need the defense boost. Got the Sash here, which is obviously valuable as well. Like, Helping Hand Steel Spike is just a super safe play into Clefairy, but there's a small chance my opponent protects Clefairy. I'm just wondering if Helping Hand Life Orb Phantasm KOs the Clef. I would think so. Yeah, I don't think we really need the defense boost. I'd rather just go for it. Like, this covers all the options. Unless Clefairy is actually bulky enough to survive a Helping Hand Life Orb Phantasm, but I don't think it is. And I don't think we're in major need of a defense boost because it's not like the sweepers in the back are going to be physical. So yeah. This play just punishes my opponent really hard if they protect Clefairy turn 1, which I could see them going for. I don't want to risk missing a Steel Wing there, and if I Helping Hand like Steel Wing into Clef protecting, that's really bad, because then I effectively waste 2 turns of Dynamax just to KO Clefairy, which isn't worth it. So if I can pick up a knockout here, even if Trick Room goes up, my opponent still has to play around the combination of Redirection plus Dragapult. And like Dragalge obviously doesn't fare super well into Dragapult, and that's the main Trick Room sweeper in my opinion. Okay, so here's Helping Hand. No Follow Me. Wow. Is it sashed? No. Okay. No Follow Me or Protect, which I have to say I'm surprised by. I wonder if it's just like a Blind Sing coming out here. That is what I'm worried about. Oh, it's just Dazzling Gleam. Okay. I'll take that. I'm really surprised to not see a Follow Me or Protect, because Dazzle just doesn't really get very much mileage, but I'd say that's a favorable turn for us. Some Clefairies are running Dazzling Gleam or Moonblast nowadays, and yeah, it's just Dragalge in the back, but now I have the defense drop onto the Clefairy, so it's pretty safe to just go for... Okay, this next turn's interesting, actually, because I can't just launch a Wormwind, right? But my opponent could protect the Clefairy. So it's like the safest play is the Helping Hand Phantasm again. I guess I have Expanding Force, actually. Wait, that's really strong here. It would activate a potential weakness policy, though, but maybe that's fine. So it's just like, yeah, does Clefairy just go for the safe Follow Me here? Or does my opponent try to, like, you know, make a big play? I'm getting Expanding Force here, though, I think. And I'll just Phantasm into Dragalge. Yeah, that should max. If, you know, Clefairy goes for Follow Me, then I probably just knock it out with the Phantasm, get a single target Expanding Force. If it protects, then maybe we just knock out Dragalge. Although with the Friend Guard, probably not. But feeling pretty good right now. I could have maybe Max Guarded the Dragapult here, just to get an Expanding Force off first. But there's a chance that my opponent targets the Indeedee. Yeah, there's the Protect. Okay, so I could have Wormwinded, but I don't mind it too much. Didn't want to whiff a max move here completely. And because we're already ahead, like, all we need to do is just make favorable trades. Yeah, that's plenty of damage. I don't think Expanding Force is going to pick up the knockout. Obviously, Friend Guard is up, and I'll probably activate a weakness policy even. But then it's like, the Clefairy's at -2 defense. So I could actually bring in the Hitmonlee. Just click, like, Rock Slide. It's a lot of good damage on a Dragalge. Another one will KO, and there's the weakness policy. No surprise, obviously. There's a Bronzong in that team, so it's typically used for Bulldoze strats, but that's fine. And there's Wormwind. Okay, yep. Into Dragapult, yep. So like I said, I could have Max Guarded there to cover for Clefairy going for an attack, but like at this point I'm already ahead, so making trades is fine in my opinion. So let's bring out Hitmonlee, I think. Just click Rock Slide and Expanding Force, honestly. Yeah. No way really around that. What does my opponent have in the back? Luxray, Mienshao, Braviary. Expanding Force here is super free. Got a Spadef boost on that. You have Policy activated, but that's fine. -2. Expanding Force. I could Wide Guard to cover for Dazzle. Rock Slide covers the switch-ins pretty nicely. Although I could miss. And there also could be Mienshao coming in. So I could close combat. It is at -2. Okay, I'm going to close combat here. I just don't want... I want guaranteed damage. Yep, Clefairy Follow Me's. Okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure Expanding Force just KOs the Dragalge in this range, right? So, I mean, maybe Rock Slide would have been better then to cover the Follow Me option. And close combat does 50% to Clefairy. You'll love to see it. And of course, Psychic Terrain is still up, so Expanding Force is just going to hit both. Should be a knockout, right? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Maybe I could have Rock Slided just in case Dragalge was going to survive that, but that first Expanding Force did so much. I was like, there's no way. So now, my opponent can't even fake out with Mienshao if they have that in the back. It's actually going to be Luxray, which is even better for us. Yeah, so I've got Togekiss in the back. Let me just double check everything. 2 turns of Psychic Terrain left. I've gotten rid of my special defense boost, but that's still fine. I don't think Luxray can one-shot us. I think just going for Expanding Force here and Throat Chop into Clefairy is fine. Clefairy probably goes for Protect here. Yeah. So I could have close combated into Luxray, but I didn't want like Luxray surviving and then Dazzle to do too much, because like this thing shouldn't one-shot me right now. And I'm even faster with Indeedee. Okay, because I'm faster with Indeedee, actually I should have just doubled up there. But yeah, that should win us the game, I think. Okay, good damage and Wild Charge, which means it's going to be taking a ton of recoil. Oh, actually, it doesn't even knock out Indeedee. Wow. And it's Guts, so no surprise there, but now we can just go for another Expanding Force and just Throat Chop again. Yeah, so the game plan here was to either deny Trick Room, which we were able to do with Dragapult. Like, I think my opponent maybe got a little bit greedy on that first turn by not going for the safe follow me, but once again, that's why I go for the Phantasm into Bronzong, right? Bronzongs in this format are very unlikely to even carry Protect. So the only way my opponent can get around that is basically like a Braviary switching into that. But given that my opponent leads Bronzong Clefairy, they're definitely going to have Dragalge in the back. I didn't think Braviary would be the 4th Pokemon, but glad Hitmonlee gets to come out and actually do some stuff. It wasn't like absolutely pivotal, but you know, it's nice to bring it out because I had that spread damage with Rock Slide, but I also knew I was faster than my opponent because we were outside of Trick Room. So yeah, you know, leading Indeedee Dragapult seems not like the best idea if Trick Room goes up, but the thing is that I have redirection support and Helping Hand is just so good because I can just, you know, pick up big knockouts immediately. So it was all about supporting Dragapult in that last game. This next one, I'm actually thinking we want to go with Dracozolt. It can one-shot a lot of my opponent's team. And I have the White Herb, so I don't have to worry about Intimidate in the first get-around. They don't have terrain control, so I could, like, Indeedee and Hitmonchan is always an option, right? Or, sorry, Hitmonlee. I don't... Okay, Hitmonlee has value in this game. It's not completely useless because my opponent does have Ferrothorn, and anytime you see a Ferrothorn, you always have to bring at least one, if not all, your answers against it. But I kind of like Dracozolt Indeedee as a lead here. You know, Expanding Force actually does some pretty good damage as well. My opponent's team is pretty slow, so it's like I don't know if I actually really need Hitmonchan to be out... Hitmonlee, oh my goodness, I keep calling it the wrong thing. To be actually outspeeding everything. I think Instant is good here just for Fake Out. Oh, we can't Fake Out actually as easily, but I think having it for... Yeah, Flare Blitz alone into Ferrothorn's good enough. Togekiss Dazzling Gleam does pretty well here. But you know what? We don't get to use Hitmonlee very often, so I'm going to bring it. Is that the best decision to make? We'll have to see. But it's a cool Pokemon, and it was able to do a bunch for us in that last game. Also, this means that I have more pressure against Ferrothorn outside of just Incineroar. And I think, once again, anytime you see a Ferrothorn in Team Preview, you basically have to try to bring as much as possible to beat it. Because that thing is a really, really big threat. Gothitelle Togekiss. Okay, this is excellent for Dracozolt. However, obviously, my opponent could just go for, say, Follow Me Trick Room turn 1. Is that a problem, though? Because I get to knock out Incineroar. Or, sorry, Togekiss. I guess then you get a free switch into Primarina. But then I can just Follow Me, right? So I think I'm just gonna Max Lightning and just Helping Hand turn 1. I guess there's a chance Togekiss maxes and goes for Starfall. But I feel like that's pretty risky, especially when you're going up against a Dracozolt and there's Follow Me pressure. So this is like similar to that last game, right? Where I'm going for the target onto the Pokemon that's most likely going to click Trick Room because I think it's unlikely it has Protect. And it forces my opponent to follow me. If they don't follow me, I get to punish them even more. And even if they follow me, we still come out of the turn pretty positive. Okay, so they don't switch. I was thinking of a potential switch into Ferrothorn there. Looks like they're going to opt for fall. Oh! Did they double Protect? Ah, they double protected. Okay. That's a very nice play. I was feeling so good for a second there. A lot of good damage on a Gothitelle. I can't switch out right now because I'm trapped by the Shadow Tag. So Gothitelle actually had Protect there. Okay, respect. Honestly, actually, looking at what I have, I am pretty Togekiss weak, so I might actually want to just try to knock out Togekiss here with the Max Lightning and Helping Hand. The Helping Hand covers for the option of Togekiss switching out into Ferrothorn or Goodra. It's still a ton of damage here, so yeah, I'm going to go for Helping Hand Max Lightning this round to Togekiss. I think Togekiss probably just goes for Follow Me here anyway, in which then I could have maybe gone for Expanding Force just to get a little bit of chip damage on a Gothitelle. But that was a nice turn 1 by my opponent. I wouldn't say I wasted my max turn, but with Dracozolt, ideally you pick up a knockout like every turn. And it's not the case here. Yeah, okay, so they just go for the safe Follow Me. So you could have Expanding Force here, but that's okay. The only problem is that once Dracozolt loses max, it's obviously a lot less effective, and I've spent 2 turns of max just to pick up a knockout. I didn't get to deny Trick Room either, so my opponent led pretty passively, but it worked out for them because once it's like similar to the last game where their goal is to just clearly set up Trick Room. So, I don't know, I could have gone with Dragapult with this lead, but then if I went with Dragapult, I probably would have just gone for Helping Hand Phantasm into the Gothitelle anyway, so it's not like it's that different of a play. I bet Primarina comes... Oh, it's actually Ferrothorn. Okay. Yeah, see, this could be a big problem for us. Especially because it's probably going to be, like, Body Press stuff. I don't have any special fire types on this team. Which is going to be a problem. I mean, it's likely my opponent just double protects here. I need to get as much damage on a Ferrothorn as possible, so I'm just going to Helping Hand Max Lightning here. I could also see it just Iron Defensing right now immediately. Okay, Gothitelle protects, which means Ferrothorn should be attacking. Probably Iron Defense. Yeah. I brought both of my Ferrothorn answers here, and I still don't know if it's enough. Like, this is just how good Iron Defense Ferrothorn is. Let's see how much we do. 50, maybe? Oh my goodness, not even. I think we just lose to Ferrothorn at this point, quite frankly. Let's not give up. We have Incineroar and Hitmonlee in the back. I don't know if Aerial Ace KO, like Helping Hand Aerial Ace KO's Gothitelle here. It might. I don't. Just Hustle, Life Orb boosted, and Helping Hand. Let's see. Just because I can miss the other 2 attacks. If I can knock out Gothitelle, then that's actually decent because then I can switch out into Incineroar. Actually, just gonna offer Body Press immediately into Indeedee. That's actually good for us. I want Indeedee to get KO'd because this thing is pretty useless for us at this point. And Psychic, okay, that's fine. You take that. Aerial Ace comes out. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. That was a crit too, actually. Yeah, it was not strong enough. I should have just gone for Dragon Claw then, I guess. I think it would have been better for my opponent to go for another Iron Defense, but I guess they could go for that now. 2 turns of Trick Room left. I think I'm just going to Follow Me here and try to KO Gothitelle. It's still doable because they've only gotten 1 Iron Defense up so far, but it's going to be tough because typically these Ferrothorn sets are going to be max HP, max defense. Which is why I think, like, yeah, if this team wanted a better counter to it, you could probably just throw Heat Wave or Flamethrower over something like Follow Me or Protect. Ferrothorn is becoming increasingly common in the metagame, so you should watch out for that in your games. But my opponent is honestly helping me by not having... Like, I think in this position, they should have just gone into +6 defense immediately, because my Indeedee is not doing anything against my opponent. So this actually puts us in maybe a winnable spot. Obviously, they haven't Dynamaxed yet, though, which is the problem, right? And I expect Max Primarina to come out. That's gotta be it, right? Because then you also set up the Rain, and I think we just kind of lose to that. So I feel forced to bring out the Incineroar. But with the Electric Terrain disappearing, if Primarina's in the back, this game should be a wrap. Yeah, there it is. Well done. Well done. Very nicely played. So the Gothitelle having Protect ended up punishing us a little bit. My opponent was pretty much always guaranteed to get Trick Room up, and without having a special fire type attack in this team, it was going to be rough. So the way I'd get around this is by potentially not committing my max so early on. But how do I do that with this team? Could lead Togekiss, but without a fire type attack, I don't know. It's looking tough. If you're my opponent here, you should just max Geyser. Because Ferrothorn's the late game win con. Okay, I'm going to go out into the Hitmonlee and Protect here. Solely so that I could get Dracozolt back out and maybe try to still knock out Primarina with the Bolt Beak. I don't know if that KOs. I doubt it KOs, to be honest, but Hitmonlee is not nearly as useful for us in this game. This was a tough one. I think my opponent played really well, and I just... I don't know if we had enough tools to deal with this Ferrothorn. That's why, like, Ferrothorn and Corviknight are, like, two of the Pokemon in this format, like, in, like, 1v6 a team, if you don't have special fire type attacks. Like, you're gonna need super effective attacks to even deal with it, and even then, if they're physical, a single Iron Defense just makes it so much harder right from the start. But my opponent also played this very, very smartly by double protecting to burn a turn to my max, and then getting... Okay, so they're gonna Body Press into... Yeah, that's just enough for a KO. Okay, it should be Max Geyser. Yeah, we really don't have an out here. Like, Pharaoh is such a good late game win con, especially if you get the rain up as well. My Flare Blitz is probably going to do like 20% to the Ferrothorn right now. So, like, yeah, I can bring out Dracozolt, and my play is, I guess, to Bolt Beak, Primarina, Flare Blitz, Ferrothorn, but just not much we can do. So, I mean, this is a good example of, like, two things. First of all, team matchups are really important in competitive Pokemon, and that's why this is a really interesting game. With the right team matchup, anyone can beat anyone, and obviously, luck is, you know, components of the game, although not nearly as much as I think people often think it is. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to just Bolt Beak here. I want to see if it can KO, and I guess try to burn the Ferrothorn, but there's really nothing we can do. I mean, burning is pretty much irrelevant here, too. Even if we crit the Ferrothorn, I don't think it's enough for a knockout. So, you know, matchups are important, but it's also about how you play. You know, sometimes you can have a really favorable matchup but just not play it correctly or make some mistakes, and so the other player can win. But in this game, I think my opponent brought the perfect 4 Pokemon. Bolt Beak connects. Actually picks up the one-hit KO. That should show you the power of Dracozolt, but unfortunately Ferrothorn is just going to beat us at this point because it can 2v1. The problem is that I had to give respect to the Ferrothorn as well as its partners. Yeah, look how little that's a 4-time super effective attack, and with Rain being up and a single Iron Defense, we did 20% of damage. And yeah, they correctly Body Press Incineroar as well. Very nicely played. Yeah, I don't know, maybe Dragapult could put in some work, because at least we have, like, Phantasm for defense drops, but to be honest, I think this is a near unwinnable matchup if my opponent just plays the way they did. Follow me, Trick Room, and then go from there. Because I'm trying to think, how do I beat Gothitelle plus the Togekiss lead? Like, my leads seem pretty good against that as well, right? It's probably going with, like, Incineroar, Togekiss, and chipping away so that they don't get a free switch into the Ferrothorn. And then one thing I could potentially consider is maxing Incineroar on the turn that they Iron Defense. So, I guess I wouldn't say it's completely unwinnable, but it's not great. Yeah, I think if I were to play this in a best of 3, I would consider leading Incineroar, Togekiss, because I don't need to have to max those, and I can just do damage with, like, Flare Blitz, Dazzling Gleam. And then Incineroar has a pretty favorable matchup in a Primarina and the Ferrothorn. But then the problem is that, like, sorry, the Gothitelle and the Ferrothorn. The problem is that the Primarina just comes out and then we're in some trouble, right? So, yeah. I have to say, yeah, I think Ferrothorn is a Pokemon that, you know, a lot of people started using around February, March-ish or so. And even with Pokemon like Cinderace and Incineroar being very common in the format right now, you absolutely have to respect this Pokemon, because there are very few Pokemon that can effectively knock it out in one hit. And after an Iron Defense, if supported properly, exactly as how my opponent did in this game, good luck. But once again, even if you have a favorable matchup, you have to play it correctly, and I think my opponent played it perfectly in this one, so credit to them. Yeah, in this one, I think if I were to, once again, play it in a best of 3, the mode is Instant Togekiss. You have to kind of conserve the max, but the problem is we don't have any good max mons against Ferrothorn, because Togekiss, I guess Togekiss could, like, crit Airstreams. Actually, yeah, because it's Iron Defense, Body Press, most likely Leech Seed, at least Togekiss can just get a lot of special damage off, and those Ferrothorns aren't going to have much special defense investment, so I think that's the route I would go with. Alright, third match of the day. Another Trick Room team. Gotta give us three games and 3 Trick Rooms. More Dragalge stuff. There's a Bisharp this time around, so, like, I have to respect Cinderace Bisharp, which is actually very scary. Can I go with Dracozolt? Indeedee Dracozolt? Indeedee Zolt seems a little weak. I don't know. I kind of want to just go Indeedee Dragapult again. I think Hitmonlee is actually quite good here outside of Trick Room, so if the Trick Room option doesn't get set up, that's good. Maybe just the same mode as the first game. Incineroar's Intimidate is only valuable into the Cinderace here. Togekiss, on the other hand, does a little bit of damage and has redirection support. And could potentially survive a Max Ooze, so I guess it means we can retaliate back with damage on a Dragalge. So, let's see. Trick Room is pretty scary to go up against, because this team is very hyper-offensive, and so, you know, if we can't deny the Trick Room, which... I'm trying to think if there's, like, a better way. There's no way to guarantee that we can't, to deny Trick Room, because... if there's a redirection user. So I think, like, however, this time around, if my opponent, like, Dusclops, I doubt has Protect. So if my opponent leads Togekiss plus Dusclops, you know, I'd probably go for Follow Me Trick Room. Dusclops Incin, though. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Because I can just Helping Hand Phantasm into, Dusclops. Do I even need a Helping Hand, actually? It might make more sense to go for Expanding Force, or even a Follow Me. I mean, Incineroar is probably going to go for like a Parting Shot or a Dark-type attack. Let's see. Either way, I'm really surprised they led this, but this is really good for us. I just want to see what switch-ins they have into Phantasm, if any. There's nothing. There's literally nothing. The only switch-in would be Bisharp. I think we just Helping Hand Phantasm this first turn, honestly. They could ally switch, I guess. Incin probably still takes like 50% from Life Orb Helping Hand, though, so I don't even mind that too much. Yeah. It's cool to use Hitmonlee. It's obviously not the carry of this team, but, you know, on a team that's already hyper-offensive, the fact that you can just outspeed almost every Pokemon, or pretty much everything, once you have the Psychic Seed plus Unburden makes it powerful. So I was fully expecting Togekiss. Okay, so Dusclops switches out. Bisharp, I think, is probably the scariest thing to see. It is going to be Bisharp. But that's still okay, because this next turn I can just go for Follow Me and then knock out the Bisharp, right? I think this is still the correct play to make. But I see what my opponent's going for. Bisharp's going to have Focus Sash, so they're basically, I think, going to try... I'm going to guess Dragalge is my opponent's last one. So I think what they're going to do is basically stall out my Trick Room. The good thing is that they can't even go for Sucker Punches right now because of Psychic Terrain, so that Bisharp is pretty useless. That's so much damage. Almost just a knockout. Yeah. There's not a better play to make there. Expanding Force doesn't really cover much, and, you know, with that, I do more damage to the Bisharp. Do give it a Defiant boost, though, which is obviously scary, but it can't Sucker Punch, which at least is an upside. So I can Wormwind into that slot relatively safely for a KO next turn, and then maybe switch Indeedee out. Snarl comes out, which is not really a problem in this position, I would say. And I'm actually wondering if there's value to switching out here. Going out into something like the Hitmonlee. Maybe we don't need to this turn, though. Okay, so I'm playing this assuming Dragalge is my opponent's last one. I don't think I need redirection support right now. If Dragalge is my opponent's last one, I do like the idea of going out into Hitmonlee because I have the super effective Throat Chop as well, and I can just go for a... Would I rather Wormwind or Steel Spike here? I think Steel Spike to get a defense boost. That should KO Bisharp. Yeah. Because Bisharp's at -1 defense. So my opponent can't Sucker Punch because Psychic Terrain is up, Dragapult is grounded, even if Bisharp protects, that's a knockout. Now I get Hitmonlee, which puts on pressure against the Incineroar offensively. I could have gone for a knockout there onto the Incineroar. Okay, they're going to switch out. Back out into Dusclops. Yeah, that's okay. Because now I can Phantasm Throat Chop into Dusclops this next turn. Bisharp protects? It's not going to save my opponent. Well, this should pick up the knockout. I mean, this is why Dragapult is still just one of the strongest Pokemon in the game. Oh, it survived? Wow. Okay. I didn't think it would survive that. Jeez. That's not great. That's my bad, then. That is my bad. That's actually really bad. Yeah, I got a little too greedy going for the defense drop, and I didn't think it would survive that at all. Dang. That's cool. I think we can just Rock Slide Phantasm here, though. The only question is whether there'd be value to go for a Throat Chop onto a Dusclops instead. That's a big survival because... Okay, they're not going to switch out either Pokemon, so I'm going to pick up the knockout here. I wonder if Phantasm just knocks out Dusclops here. I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so, but let's see. If it does, the game is just over for sure. Oh, it's just a KO. Okay. Surprised they didn't switch out either Pokemon there, because I think the way you win if you're my opponent is to get Dusclops in the late game. You need to set up Trick Room, because now Trick Room's not... You can't set up Trick Room, right? I'm guessing it's Dragalge and Incineroar? Yeah, there it is. So, like, I can just... the question is actually whether or not I want to Dragon Darts, because it would activate a weakness policy, but I think activating a policy is fine. Psychic Terrain is still up, so my opponent can't even go for Fake Out, which is beautiful. And Togekiss Indeedee in the back, and last turn, 2 turns of terrain, right? Yeah, close combat into Incineroar. I think going for Dragon Darts here is fine. Sure, I activated Dragalge weakness policy, but this thing's going to be the slowest thing on the field, so I don't think I actually need to be too concerned about it. If Incineroar has Protect here, then it's double darts into that slot, which means it's probably going to be an Expanding Force KO range. If Incineroar doesn't Protect, then I actually don't know if we KO, because I think close combat would actually activate a Berry. My opponent could potentially pick up a double knockout, but then I have Indeedee Togekiss in the back, and I could just click, like, Helping Hand, Dazzle, Helping Hand, or Expanding Force, Dazzle. Okay, no Protect. That is almost just a one-hit KO. Oh, so close. I mean, if that was a one-hit KO, that's definitely game over. Now, maybe my opponent still has a chance. But they don't have a Berry, so... No, I don't think they have a chance anymore. Nice! Hitmonlee was actually really good for us today. But I don't know, both this first and this... this game and the first game, like, I felt like we were able to deny Trick Room when we really shouldn't have been able to. And that second game is what I think my opponent should have done, which is just lead your Follow Me user and just Follow Me Trick Room turn 1. In this game, it would have been tougher, though, because their sweeper's Dragalge, which is why in that first game I was actually fine letting Trick Room go up. Because you basically you lose one Pokemon to get Trick Room up, and I still have my Redirection user with Focus Sash with Indeedee. So that's why I wasn't super concerned about Trick Room in this matchup or the first one, but it ended up even working out better. To be honest, Cinderace Bisharp was, I think, the duo I was most afraid of here, but now I can just bring in Togekiss. Yeah, I mean, we just have... I'm pretty sure double Dragon Darts alone isn't enough for a knockout, but might as well conserve Indeedee for one more turn of Psychic Terrain. So we can just Dazzle and Darts here, and that should be enough for a knockout. Yeah, nice. Okay, well, cool to use Hitmonlee a bunch. I wouldn't say it was the MVP of today's episode. Dragapult obviously was, but it was good. It was definitely good for us. I was able to put on a lot of offensive pressure. And once again, the main value in it is knowing that I'll outspeed my opponent if they don't get Trick Room up. So, I don't know if like, Trick Room matchups are pretty tough. The combination of Helping Hand plus Dragapult or Dracozolt makes it so that it's actually really difficult to get it up. But once again, all my opponent really needed to do in that first and third game is just lead Follow Me plus Dusclops. That being said, because their sweeper was going to be the Dragalge, Indeedee plus Dragapult actually matches up really well into that. So, in that last matchup, actually, like, if my opponent goes Togekiss Dusclops, you go Follow Me Trick Room, and you have Bisharp in the back, you actually bring out the Bisharp, and I think that would be pretty scary under Trick Room. Because I actually think that would be the correct play to do. Because you make Bisharp the sweeper at that point. Because any attack that I go with the Dragapult, I mean, other than Steel Spike, and Steel Spike's not doing very much, so I have Phantasm or Wormwood, I'm going to be giving you a Defiant boost, and that's huge. So, yeah, I think if I were my opponent choosing that third game, and I were to replay that in a best of 3, I'd probably lead Togekiss, Togekiss Dusclops with Bisharp in the back, and just potentially max Bisharp. So how would I get around that? I don't know. That sounds really, really scary. I'm not sure if there's great counterplay to that. But, you know, that's why, like, it's all about figuring out what you can do and improving on a loss, right? That's why I say losses are so valuable. Even if you win, always ask yourself, like, what could my opponent have done better, and what modes did they not bring that really scare me? The answer to this question is, yeah, Dynamax Bisharp. So I guess the answer to that from my end is potentially Incineroar. I'd probably need to just basically focus really hard on redirection, chip away at the Bisharp, and then get one really powerful attack to knock it out. But because it's most likely Focus Sash, it's actually pretty tough, so yeah. I don't know, the Trick Room matchup doesn't look amazing for this team, but we managed to weave our way around it in some of the games today. And I think, yeah, Iron Defense Ferrothorn looks really tough to go up against. So I think one change this team could probably make is like Flamethrower or Heat Wave specifically for that matchup. But once again, it's impossible to really cover every matchup in competitive Pokemon, so you kind of have to, pick and choose your battles. And at the end of the day, Iron Defense Ferrothorn is not only tough for this team to go up against, but like so many of the teams in the metagame. That's one of the reasons why I think it's still a major threat to watch out for. But that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Thank you to the creator of the team, and thank you to the link that the resource that I linked in the description below. Once again, it is a Twitter account that kind of posts top performing teams, specifically from Chinese players, which I think is really cool to see. So yeah, thank you as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys soon. All right, peace.